Sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host Pez. I'm here with Sauce, and COVID has ramped through the AFL. Things changing all the time. Just having a look at the fixture, I think it changes every hour when I look at it, Sauce.
Hey Pez, just before we start, just want to do a USB check and system check, just make sure that we're all on board there.
Oh well, I don't know, because if you didn't plug it in this time, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not recording it again.
No, I'm checking the little the system here, and the green little bars are going up, Pez, and what else also is going up is the COVID cases in Victoria and across Australia, actually, to be a bit more precise. And a lot of teams have fled their home states, and we are looking at a similar sort of setup to last year, Pez. Question without notice, been a lot of teams that moved. Is any teams really disadvantaged on the back end of this? Will any teams sort of miss out on the 8 and complain about the schedule and not being able to play in their home state?
You always think about West Coast when they're in the Gold Coast bubble, because they do get to play at home this week against St Kilda, very important game for both sides. And after that, their run isn't too great, and I wouldn't imagine they'd be playing lots and lots of games over there. So big for West Coast. Probably doesn't help Port Adelaide either, having to travel probably more games in Victoria rather than the Adelaide Oval, where they went into lockdown. South Australia, New South Wales are rampant. And then, as the listeners know, we're from Victoria, and our lockdown's been extended to at least midnight next Tuesday. So,
see you next Tuesday then, Pez.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. No profanities on the pod, please.
Of course not. But I mean, specifically, I think it definitely affects teams like, Fremantle, Richmond, West Coast, Sydney. Those teams really fighting for that top 8 sort of spot. And obviously GWS as well. Like they've been out of Victoria for 3 weeks now, and they're probably not going to be returning home to New South Wales for the remainder of the season.
Well, the COVID didn't really help them last week. They're up by 29 points against Sydney. Toby Green wasn't playing. Like if he's there, they're up by 29 points. Maybe Sydney don't make that run.
It's really interesting that one, Pez, because we will talk about it in the obviously the review of the game. But having Toby Green out of that game and Callum Mills out for Sydney, you'd probably say that's a straight swap in terms of actual player dynamics. But in terms of what he brings and the fatigue aspects that seem to hit GWS in that second half, realistically, they needed that spiritual leader there to help bring him back, and a very costly loss, being up by 5 goals in that first quarter.
Yeah, and very costly loss for some AFL teams, where the AFL's just like, yep, we're going ahead because we can't. You were at Tier 1 exposure sites. We had the rugby. We had a few cafes around there, and Josh Dunkley was one that's name was there, but he's been injured with his shoulder for a while, so probably wouldn't really matter about missing him, because they still would have missed him through injury, but some big players been known to go to those Tier 1 exposure sites.
I mean, and surely the AFL players is getting to a point where it's like, you are only going to be going to things that are mandatory in terms of living. So your local coffee shop, you can understand Dunkley in that one, getting pinged for that, but going to such an exposure site like a sporting event like a rugby where there's heaps of crowd, it's just, I think it's irresponsible in terms of some of those teams, especially for both Sydney and GWS both being affected for it. Both teams vying, one for a top 4 spot, one for a top 8 spot. A little bit of responsibility has got to there on what they're actually trying to achieve this year and the opportunity that presents themselves. They obviously know that COVID is going to be part of our, the regular season here, but a little bit more responsibility and sort of, I guess, it's not really the word responsibility what I'm trying to use, but like they just need to have a bit of ownership on their behaviours, Pez, and be a bit more understanding of the world that they're living in, what they're actually fighting for in their football club.
Look, it's really hard, and the argument comes down to, can the AFL make players not do that? Last year there was the bubble, and they spent a lot of times away from their family. Yeah. You've got to still be able to live. Like if they go to anyone's job and they say, all right, you can't go anywhere because we really need you to work at your job. These guys are elite AFL footballers, so can the clubs actually ask them, hey, can you just, do your best not to go out anywhere else? Because the restrictions are on all Victorians, but then the AFL players usually have bigger restrictions. But to say, don't go to the rugby or don't go to your local coffee shop because, we don't want you at a Tier 1 site. We don't want to be missing you for finals. It's the back end of the season. Is that okay to ask them to do that for a couple of months, or is it against their human right to be able to go and do that?
Yeah, I'm probably more looking at it off from the AFL saying that, but probably the leadership group. Someone like Toby Green, and that leadership at GWS isn't a strong suit, and when he is captain there and he's one of those leaders that he leads by example, and by him saying, you know what, lads, no, let's we've got an important game this week. We can't afford to not have players in that spotlight. Let's just go to my place and we'll just get a couple of brewskis and watch the game. I just think it's more of a club thing that the leadership group should take the responsibility, not the AFL. The AFL obviously can't do that in terms of human rights, but I'd like to see some of the leaders there band together, and they're already a team that has been away from their families for a lot. They're already, we said last year that they were going to be a team that responds in the bubble and that tight-knit sort of group. It was more leadership aspects I was wanting to see there.
Yeah, that's fair enough there. But you are absolutely shitting me here. I've just had a look at the AFL ladder. Essendon in the 8, that's a joke, isn't it?
Why am I shitting you?
Oh, not you, but
I've turned on the mic. I'm sitting my 1.5 away, Pez. I've got everything going down, and Essendon.
It's got 8 wins.
No, do you know what I like? Do you know what I like about it? I like that it sort of just it teases the Essendon fans because they actually believe that they are a legitimate shot to make the 8, and we're getting on in Twitter, mate. If you don't finish in the top 8, you might as well finish bottom because it doesn't matter where you finish. You're not playing finals. Your streak will extend to over 7,000.
It's their spot to lose by the looks of things. They're in the 8. They're
mate, their run
points.
home is ridiculously tough.
Do you know what happened? They beat North, and North were within 3 points late in that game, and Essendon got out to an 18-point win. And they're all up in arms. They've won 2 in a row. They're going, oh, we're in the 8. How good is this? Well, no, it's not, because you guys are a shit football club and you're not going to make the finals.
It's actually better for Essendon's development not to make it. Because one, they get a better pick. 2, there's less expectation going into next year. If they hit the 8 this year, let's say that they do hit the 8 and they finish 8, they're going to play probably a Brisbane side or a Port Adelaide side.
They're probably going to have.
What do you mean?
They're going to make the 8.
No, but let's say that they do. Let's say this unrealistic world that we live in. Let's imagine a COVID-free world.
Oh, you're writing a fictional novel, are you?
Yeah, fictional novel. A COVID-free world. There's no cases. We've got crowds. If they finish 8th, they're probably going to play Port Adelaide in Adelaide or Brisbane in Brisbane. Maybe Sydney in Sydney. They're not getting wins against those football clubs. It's going to extend their maybe you get one game under the belt for some of those young blokes. But it'd be better to have another proper run at it, a proper preseason. You're getting most players signed on. Stringer signed on this week for the package is going to deliver apparently, right? But that's what you'd be better to do rather than finish 8th, struggle in, extend your finals losses to 7 or 8 years that they've been in there in a row. Like it's not a win for the club. They'd be better to finish 10th.
Oh, it'd be better to finish anywhere, but I just don't want the Essendon supporters to keep talking. I don't care where they finish, as long as they don't win a final, which is keeps the streak alive. But the other news around in the world in a couple of days, or actually tomorrow, I think the opening ceremony, but the Olympics starts.
Olympics have already started, mate.
In Tokyo.
It's been great already. It's day 0.1 because day 1 starts officially Saturday after the Olympic ceremony. But we have had the softball going today, and we've had the women's soccer last night, which was extremely entertaining.
We spoke about it in the coin toss very quickly last week about the. I think we did. We did at least on the first show that wasn't recorded.
I think we did in the second. I can't remember if we got
talking
to it.
about weightlifting and some of our favourite things. So the weightlifting, I think you said, is on the Saturday source.
It's on the Saturday. Yeah, it starts at 10 a.m. Pez. I've got a very detailed spreadsheet which I've sent to you, and happy to send out to any of the listeners. There's a very detailed explanation
Just of what to put on 7+. How many devices do you think's minimum to have open?
Mate, tell you what, 7 Plus has hit the winner because you can log into multiple accounts with the same account. Multiple devices, sorry. I'm thinking I've got my TV, I'll move my bedroom TV into my lounge room, my iPad, I've got 2 iPads, and that's 5 devices I'm going to be rocking, I reckon.
I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 or 6, I reckon. I'll jump on and put all the sports on at the same time. We can't forget about the AFL because we are running an AFL podcast here.
Yeah, but just, mate, 12:30 is prime time for the Olympics. Every Olympic sport that's being played on Saturday at 12:30 is going at the same time. You got the rowing, shooting, beach volleyball, fencing, handball, table tennis, volleyball, weightlifting, archery, field hockey, gymnastics, softball, taekwondo, the 3-on-3, basketball, judo, and the tennis is going. The only thing that you will miss if you start that is the water polo, which doesn't start till 3, unfortunately.
Water polo is another good sport.
Great sport.
I need to order some more devices online, I think, and get some express delivery here.
Yeah, it's a shame that KO doesn't have it with the split screen thing because the Olympics is perfect for the split screen. Not like the AFL where you need some commentary. You don't need the commentary for the Olympics. Just bang, whack it on as many devices as you can. Get your phones out, get your missus' phones, buy your dog a phone, get them all going and get onto it, Pez. But we have got some other news that we need to speak, and that is AFL because this is an AFL podcast. I'm sure we'll bring in a lot of Olympic news as well as sort of any sort of diversion to be able to talk about the Olympics, Pez. But we need to get into the first game of the round.
Geez, next week's show is going to be all about the Olympics.
We might just do an Olympic show, Pez.
Just an Olympic show.
Maybe we just do the Olympics, and the way we can sort of swing it into an AFL thing is we'll just get players that we think would be successful at different Olympic
sounds
sports.
like a segment.
There we go, done. We'll
Like
do another one midweek next week.
Look forward to that next week. What we do need to speak about, Source, is a big round 18, which finished with 8 teams in the 8. The 8 changed a little bit.
8 teams in the 8.
8 teams in the 8.
How fancy that?
It did change a little bit, but you got 10 outside there. So Richmond 9th in their usual spot. Fremantle, St Kilda, GWS still fighting for spots, with Carlton, Gold Coast, Collingwood, Adelaide, Hawthorn and North Melbourne eliminated from 2021.
Yeah, so season over for those guys. We'll pay tribute to those in the rounds coming towards the actual end of season, Pez. But we need to get into the first one that sort of really put Fremantle's season in jeopardy, because they did start, I think, in the 8 and they've finished outside of the 8 after a 69-point loss.
Did they start favourites in that game?
They didn't start favourites, but for some bizarre reason, they continually decrept in on the betting line, and I didn't understand it. I mean, obviously, they had no Jeremy Cameron, no Rowan, and Geelong was stuck in some sort of bubble.
They were playing at home.
But there was no crowd, and it was interesting, Pez, because I couldn't see anything else but dollar bills for this one, Pez, because the Geelong Cats absolutely thumped it in. 69-point winners at Optus Oval, and they just piled on in that second quarter and took control of the game. Fremantle, in the wet as well, Pez, in the wet, which was really
Fremantle
impressive.
didn't touch a footy. He had it 299 times. To Geelong's 422, so a big discrepancy there, and only 3 goals 13 to 14 goals 16, so inaccurate kicking on the night, but only 3 goals for the night. Very disappointing for that Fremantle side. Rory Lobb couldn't lob it up to get another 4 or do anything like that, but Geelong were able to do that. Hawkins leading the way with 4 goals, Source, and Dangerfield up forward with 3 again, so you'd probably give the votes in a Geelong game where they won by 69 points. You give it to the best player on the opposite side, wouldn't you?
Probably I think Darcy Parish actually won the medal for this game.
Angus Brayshaw kicked one and had 21 disposals.
Well, that's it, mate. Put him in. But you mentioned Patrick Dangerfield kicked 3-1. He has to be one of the worst set shots inside 50 in the AFL, because he actually
kicked any on the full.
He kicked 3-1. He kicked 1 on the full, 1 that didn't make the distance, and 1 that he shanked so badly that somehow I think it went down as a goal assist, because I can't remember who it was, but there was a little small forward that propped up. Zach Tui came downfield and sort of leaked up forward and bang, got one. But
he didn't get one.
Well, he didn't get one. He got
behind. Two behinds.
But Pez, what was really, really good to watch here, not only as a Geelong supporter, is this game plan, this keepings off brand of football. Wait for the impatience of the defense and then attacked. It was at its best realistically Friday night, and we've seen Geelong do this for a couple of years now, and they've sort of they've become impatient. They've dabbled with going down the middle. They literally just swing the ball from side to side, play keepings off, elite kicking. They kick the ball up and then bang, great inside 50. Good scoring attack.
That's all well and good against the Fremantle side, but the reason that comes under pressure and scrutiny is when you get a side that applies a lot of pressure, like a Brisbane or a Richmond or one of those sides up the top this year. So we'll see if it can go well in the finals with Chris Scott there. But Dangerfield, I don't know if this is true, but just from watching his set shot kicking, it's either straight through the middle or it misses by a mile.
Yeah.
He doesn't miss it.
Yeah, his best and his worst are miles apart.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But Fremantle, very disappointing, not even to compete in that game. So very easy win to Geelong. But the next game, Source, was absolutely massive, with Richmond upsetting Brisbane by 20 points, keeping their season alive. But the biggest news out of it was the big collision with Mitch Robinson and Dustin Martin, and he's got, a lacerated kidney or something, and he is out for the season. He was still in hospital the other day when we heard an update.
Yeah, he looked in big trouble right from that that initial hit. Originally, people were thinking maybe it might have been a hip, maybe it could have been a ribs.
I was hoping it was just a rib or something.
I was hoping it was just maybe a bit winded or something, but then you actually see Dustin Martin wincing, walking off and then he got to the bench and he was down on all fours.
Yeah,
and you thought,
you don't see that.
You don't see that from any AFL football, let alone Dusty Martin, one of the champions of the game. But whilst he was out in that fourth quarter, that third and fourth quarter, they did sort of come home strong. Richmond, not only the big story is Dustin Martin, but Jack Riewoldt. And was this not an absolute pinnacle of his game? You got to see all versions of Jack Riewoldt in an amazing performance. 6 goals. 300th game, and really stamped himself as a champion of the Richmond Football Club.
Yeah, he was flying for the high marks. He had his set shot kicking on point. He was pumping up his team with his celebrations and things like that.
Does love a goal, that guy.
He loves it. But Marby Achola is the Robin to his Batman, stepped up and kicked 4, played well in the ruck around the ground as well. And Brisbane, without Hipwood in the side, weren't looking likely to be able to do anything. Danaher got a cheap one and a one that was a really strange one from outside 50. So he had 3 goals. Zach Bailey had 2. He's a great one to watch. Zach Bailey just bursts out of the pack. Cameron had 2, McCarthy had 2, Lynch had 2, McStay had 2, and Graham had 2 for Richmond. So a lot of multiple goal scorers on the night. 106-86, so not that high scoring, but a lot of multiple goal kickers, so that was interesting as well.
I mean, the big question that comes from Brisbane, I mean, this is their second sort of, not really impressive sort of loss because they lost to St Kilda and they've lost to Richmond, 2 sides that are going for a top 8 sort of finish. But with Joe Danaher as the centrepiece of that forward line, he just doesn't seem to have the responsibility to do it. And it really throws, I know structure is one of those things that, he relies on and Brisbane rely on, but can they go far in September with Joe Danaher as their centrepiece of that forward line?
Well, they can if he adapts, but they also have to rely on Daniel McStay. So McStay, he had a really good first half source. He was looking very dangerous up there forward. He kicked 2 goals, but he only had 5 possessions for the game. So you got to think he's got to touch the ball, maybe 10 times as a forward there to have a bigger impact and lead up and offer more things to your midfield. But Richmond, the thing that won them the game source, the pressure on the footy, able to turn it over, go the other way. So back to Richmond brand of footy, but people might start to write them off now after Dustin Martin is out as well. So very interesting for their end of the season to see if their dynasty can stay alive. Yeah,
I mean, it's funny because if Richmond sneak into the finals, they're one of those, Jack Riewoldt came out and said in the lead up to his 300th that they're not one of a team that you want to face in coming into the finals. But I actually wouldn't fear Richmond coming into the finals because one of those main reasons that you didn't want to play them is because the Gary Ayres winner for 3 years in a row, or 4 years in a row, every time they've won a premiership is Dustin Martin. And we know that he is one of the best finals football players of our generation, probably of all time. You'd probably make the argument for at the end of his career. But without him, I don't know if they've got one of those genuine game winners that can do it week after week after week. Jack Riewoldt's through it this week. Outside of that, if he's not up and about, I don't know if they've got one of those genuine sort of midfielder players that can get in there. They've been hit by injuries, yes, but they're not a team that I really would fear playing finals.
Well, the one player that I absolutely adore watching now, Shea Bolton. Have you seen that guy in the pack and everywhere? He's got X Factor. He's got superstar written all over him. He can go forward and take a grab. He can get the ball out of the centre and burst away. Just if you haven't yet, do yourself a favour, watch Shea Bolton really, really closely when he's in there in the contest because it's just a gem to watch.
Yeah, he just lacks that consistency early on in his career at the moment, but he'll get that over time. But you're right, Pez, he's a great kick of the footy. He goes hard, and he always sort of pops up for a little X factor goal at the right times as well, which is what you expect from Dusty. So his role over the next month will be pivotal for their success.
Yeah, one thing that's really important and pivotal for team success is probably set shot goal kicking. And in the next game, St Kilda versus Port Adelaide, St Kilda just couldn't get the job done. I don't think they actually kicked a set shot goal for the whole game source. So they had 8-13, a couple out on the full and things like that, to 10-14 for Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide ended up winning by 13 points. But the really disappointing thing about this game, it was tight throughout. St Kilda couldn't hit a set shot. It was 60-59 source. So St Kilda up by a point, and they had 3 really terrible turnovers from their back 50. Just missed kicks, 2 from Bradley Hill and another one, turned the ball straight over. 2 goals happened from that, and it was game over, and it was super disappointing.
Yeah, it was an absolute collapse, and it was not even the pressure that Port Adelaide actually applied. It was more perceived pressure of being in a close game, a must-win game, an important victory for the club. St Kilda would have been a really, really good stamp going forward into September, but it was an absolute collapse, Pez, and you just can't afford those mistakes. And not only from younger players, Pez, it was some of your more mature bodies there and people that you would expect to give the pill in those situations and just be like, you know what? Take control of this game, lead us to victory, and yeah.
Well, Bradley Hill, you want the ball in his hands.
100%.
He miskicked 2 coming out of the 50 and miskicked it so bad that no one knew where it was going and ended up in Port Adelaide's hand and going forward. Probably the best player for Port Adelaide on the day, you'd have to say Georgiades. He goes forward, he takes some big grabs, the 19-year-old. He kicked 4 straight. He had 5 marks on the day, and Carl Amon was another one. 26 disposals and 2 goals. One on either foot, a right foot snap and a left foot snap.
Yeah, but it was. You're right, Pez. Georgialis was fantastic in that forward line. Do you know who actually was really good as well? Was Charlie Dixon. Whilst being limited to his sort of disposal of the pill, he was huge in a lot of those contests, Pez, and kicking that winning goal from a nice little shake and bake in that forward line. That really,
you giving him credit for that, are you? I reckon he had a dog of a day. I'm going to say he got a bath.
Really, you didn't think he was a pivotal play?
No, that at the end, the game was already over as well, and he got his little goal and his little fist pump. But I reckon before that, he got an absolute bath by Dougal Howard.
Oh, really? I thought in the 1-on-1 contest he did, but I thought his sort of groundwork was pretty good, and I thought he was a decent sort of setup for Georgialis to get the pill. I actually didn't mind his game, Pez. I disagree with you there.
Oh, we'll have to see what the fans think at Behind the Bound on Twitter, because big disagreement.
13 touches, couple shots on goal, had a goal assist. It's not bad from your forward. Not bad from a forward. We just said in the last game that you would expect 10, 15 touches from a forward as well as a goal. He had, 3 shots on goal?
That's from Daniel McStay. This is Charlie Dixon.
So what are you expecting from him? 17, 18 touches?
Charlie, 3 goals.
Oh, so the goals are what kills him?
Well, he didn't have an impact in the game from when I was watching it. We had St Kilda rebounding off them kicking the ball to him and things like that. We might have to get a live viewing party.
Yeah, we might have to get the KO Mini out.
Go Charlie Dixon watch and see how we go.
We do love a behind the boundary watch. That we love the moving watch as we're watching a game. But yeah, let's get on to the next one, Pez, because we can't do that live. We don't have enough time for that one.
Oh, we can't do it right now. There we go. So the next game was interesting. Gold Coast versus Western Bulldogs. Gold Coast came out, kicked the first 3 goals, looked absolutely fantastic, and then the Bulldogs kicked 4 in a row and just won comfortably in the end by their 11 points. They were never in danger of losing that after coming back from 3 goals down. But there was some really good performances and promising signs from Gold Coast. You had Sexton, who had 7 shots on goal, 3 goals, 4. He loves to miss. Ben Ainsworth was more accurate this week, 3 goals, 1. So he usually gets about 3 behinds and goes from there. But Ugal Hagen was the big story for the Bulldogs. He kicked 3 goals. Second game, didn't play very, very good in the first game, and Beveridge was, head shaker all up and about. But Ugal Hagen looked all right, took a couple of good grabs, and his set shots at goal were magnificent.
Yeah, he did some really special things, and I think it was really unfair, a lot of the media criticism he copped that first week, Bez, because there are a lot of times where he actually got the pill and did sort of well, and he just hadn't made that adjustment to league footy. And this week you could see that 1 week in the league, he realised there were some things that he was able to do at the VFL and the junior level that he's just not able to do here because he's playing against Gold Coast,
probably
playing against elite footballers.
Maybe.
But that way his confidence there, and he didn't try to do over the top sort of stuff. He just went back to the basics. He, a couple of nice marks, couple of nice round the bodies, and his pressure around and defensively coming out at 50 was really good as well, Pez. But question to you, Pez, you spoke about Gold Coast not really being one of those sides that they're going to challenge for the flag. Took Miller, is he all Australian this year?
Oh, well, there's a question for you. He's 38 disposals there, 7 tackles. He works as hard as anyone, but you got to look 27 handballs. He works hard inside. He gets the ball out there. And
had 9 clearances as well.
He does run with it as well and kick it inside 50. So I'd have to have a better look at it and see what other midfielders he's up against, because usually you go for your midfielders in your top 4 and then you look at the next bracket and then you go, are there any standouts from the bottom 6 sides, any absolute stars like a Gary Ablett type at Gold Coast when he was back there. But yeah, I don't have an answer for you at the moment for Took Miller, but that's a good discussion and good question to happen. One I wanted to talk about was Jeremy Sharp. He's come in. He looks like a Gold Coast son, doesn't he?
He looks like the old lifeguard logo that they say. The straight blonde hair.
Logo.
Chuck some cheap sunnies on him and he would be good there, mate.
30 disposals for him. And what do I see here? A couple of tackles. He had 10 marks around the back line there. 24 of those kicks. So I know teams put a lot of time into Lukosius because, they like the way he kicks the ball. Maybe Gold Coast is saying, you know what? He kicks the ball pretty sharply, so we'll get that there.
My microphone didn't pick up that eye roll there, Pez, but that was a very clear eye roll there. Yeah, the 19-year-old did well, Pez. He's a Fremantle boy, picked up 27th in the draft 2 years ago, so he's starting to come in their own. But exactly right, he stepped up, and the coaching staff there have done well to. Obviously, teams are putting more attention into Lukosius and obviously took Miller, but he running off that back line, took some really great intercept marks. He was very poised going up the ground. There were a couple of situations where he took some really strong marks and got hit pretty hard. There was a couple of times where he sort of his luscious locks were sort of banged around a bit from that head. But yeah, he was able to deliver the ball quite nicely into the midfield and quite often actually sort of taking that 50-50 kick, which you don't see a lot of young teams do because they're so careless of making a mistake, and he was high risk, high reward, and hit a couple of nice pills that set them up going forward.
Yeah, one last thing on this game. Notice we spoke about Bailey Smith about a month ago, saying he needs to get more of the pill. He's getting more of the pill now, isn't he?
He's a little bit more.
They're looking for him. Giving him
my Brownlow bet from round one
is no good.
Has not come in at all and will not hit.
And there were a few different comebacks during the weekend, Source. No more than the bottom Hawthorn coming back against Melbourne, who couldn't put them away early when they were dominant. And they ended up in a draw, and Hawthorn could have actually stolen that at some point in the game as well. So Melbourne got back in the lead, and then Hawthorn came fighting back. So all credit to Hawthorn here for their effort and what they were doing. But Melbourne, that's got to be disappointing for Melbourne fans.
All right, Pez, we'll talk about the game. 79 all, it was a draw. So right, the game's done. We don't have to talk about Hawthorn. We don't have to talk about Melbourne. There are two massive issues from this. Huge issues. One is Melbourne's ability to perform and the amount of doubt that they I guess you have in them, and most people have in them. They only get themselves up for the top 8 sides, which some people would argue like, well, at least you would rather be beating the top sides than the bottom sides. This is the third time this season that they've lost, well, not won, a game for a team outside the 8, and a team where they were under $1.10 favourites, Pez.
So they've got teams here, Collingwood, Adelaide, Hawthorn sitting 15th, 16th, 17th.
It's not
lost
good
to Collingwood, lost to Adelaide, drew to Hawthorn.
Would you rather have that as the concern, or you thumping those teams and losing 1 or 2 against, say, the Doggies or Port Adelaide or Geelong? What would you prefer? I don't know what leading into December I would prefer.
I think I'd prefer that. To lose to the bottom sides and to be able to show and build confidence that you can beat those top sides. The other way around, you'd go in without confidence, knowing that you're giving the other team confidence because they've beaten you earlier in the season. But I still don't think they can do it. This weekend is a massive test. They put 1v2, Melbourne versus the Western Bulldogs. Who's going to come out on top? Because both of these teams haven't won anything yet, have come from nowhere, up at the top of the ladder. They should be going for blood, and there should be a highly contested and high-effort game of footy.
See, I think that's what concerns me most about Melbourne, Pez, is that, as you said, they haven't won anything, and yet when teams who are at the top lose to bottom sides, the normal things go out there. Oh, they're going through the motions. They're just looking for September. This team hasn't been to September for a long time. They haven't earned it. Either of the Dogs, they're at least getting rid of their opponents down the bottom of the ladder, and they're struggling against the top. I don't know if I'd prefer one or the other. But the question is that when they get to September, are they so entitled? They've got this entitlement about them that they're deserving to be there, that they're the best team in the comp. Then prove it on the field. Dominate these lower clubs. Take control of business. Do not give away 4 points like this. And they're still battling for a top 2 spot. And then these losses and these draws could really affect that going forward.
Yeah, there's other things in it with COVID and all that, but Melbourne if you're on top of the ladder and you're playing against Hawthorn,
take care of business.
You've got to put them away by 5 goals and not let that happen. We're heading to Sunday, Source. We had 4 games. We had North Melbourne losing to Essendon by 18 points to start, and North, fought it out well. We're really in this game, and Essendon, Jake Stringer did come out. What do you call that, a small bag these days with 4?
No.
Yeah, it's a small one.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, a small bag would
reusable. Reusable bag?
Reusable bag, the Hessian bags. It's the bring your own bags, the 4 goals.
Yeah, he turned it on when he needed to. Larkey was up forward with 3. Peter Wright had 3 as well. But you expected more from Essendon here in this game for me, watching it, for an up-and-coming team against the North Melbourne side. So I think North Melbourne did really well to be able to be in it and compete. But Essendon only to win that by 18 points. If I was an Essendon fan, I'll be really disappointed in that performance.
And that, Pez, was every North Melbourne fan just calling you saying, hey, give us a bit of credit here. We took our second lead of the year into half-time. So only their second lead at half-time. And yes, they were impressive, North Melbourne. Again, not having the legs and having the experience to be able to capitalise on some of those opportunities and letting Essendon escape in that last quarter. And, really, realistically, everyone saw that going there. But this is what we're saying, Pez. These are the wins that Essendon can't afford to lose, and they didn't lose, so they check 1. 2, they need to put North Melbourne away. They're going to be, fighting for a top 8 spot. They're going to be very close on points. You need the percentage builder. You're playing the last team in the league. They haven't won, many games at all. take care of business, get a 30, 40-point win, take control, demoralise them, and put yourself in a confident stride going into next week and going into this week against GWS, who are coming off a loss. Like, that's what you need to do.
Yeah, and both those sides can get stuffed. They're not going to make the 8, so we'll move on. Collingwood versus Carlton. Carlton winning by 29 points in the end. Speak about comebacks. Carlton really had to turn it on, kicking 6 goals in the last quarter. To 0 goals for Collingwood to actually come over the top and win by 29 points. It looked like Collingwood had this comfortably up by 4 goals earlier in the day, Source, and Carlton just able to turn it around. A lot of Carlton fans actually, I know, that actually turned the TV off, walked away, didn't even want to continue watching it. But Sam Walsh, 39 disposals and that beautiful goal in the pocket there. He is an absolute machine. Everyone's talking about him going past Cripps. He probably went past Cripps a bit earlier this year, or already as their best player. No Cripps, he's on the sideline. To come out and come back against Collingwood, you'd say it's a good win for two sides that are pretty poor.
I think it's a great win for Carlton because, as you said, and I was much the same, Pairs, I'm not a Carlton fan, but I did turn off the TV at three-quarter time because their performance was abysmal. Like, they were never in this game. And then when I was on my walk, I looked at the looked at the KO, jumped on it, and I'm like, shit, they're up by 17 points. Like, what happened there? And Harry McKay went nuts in that last quarter as well, but it was Sam Walsh. And he is an absolute superstar, Pez, but they need these performances for 4 quarters because Carlton very much during the year, they dropped a game earlier in the year to Collingwood that they could have been there. They could be talking about a top 8 finish, and that's where a lot of people had them at the start of the year. This list, and they went out and recruited, but, you know, going on their performance for the weekend, same thing that we've been speaking about for 3 years. Inconsistency for 4 quarters. Put 4 quarters together, get the job done early, and then if you want to lay off in the last quarter and chill or whatever the hell is wrong with Carlton that continually keep them out of games, do that then. Well, take care of business earlier. And I know that it seems like we're echoing that, Pez, but it's not that hard.
This is what you've got to do as a Carlton side who are meant to be up and coming. They've got all the younger guys that are they're top tier players. They need to put the sides below them away. Collingwood is below them. To be down by 4 goals going into that second half is not good enough. Carlton dropping a few games this year that they should have won. As you said, could have been in the 8, could have been in an 8 spot there above Essendon and below West Coast because they could have won 2 or 3 throughout the year and let other ones slip. But Carlton have to continue to try and develop. Are they going to continue to try and recruit and put people around, or are they going to just develop what they've got? It's interesting to see what they do in the off season because, yeah, you got to call it. Their season is over unless they can put something miraculous together. But not a great performance. Great win by 29 points, but not a great performance for the overall game.
No, and that's what we're evaluating them on is those 4 quarters, Pez. And you say that their season's over, but Pez, they're 4 points out of the 8. We should be talking about them as a 6th spot because we've talked about a range of different losses that they've had throughout the year that they've just had a quarter lapse or 2 quarters lapse or even just 10-minute periods where they've just been blown out of the water.
You're surprised that I'm saying Carlton's out of the 8? I've said Essendon's season's over. They're in the 8 at the moment.
Yeah, I have no faith in Essendon. It's all about the Carlton. But they've got a pretty decent sort of run home, Pez. They've got North, Gold Coast, Port Adelaide, GWS and St Kilda. So they could probably get 2 or 3 wins out of that if they put together 4 quarters. But if they put together 4 quarters, Pez, you could see them win all 5.
Oh, win all 5 and you reckon they can make it?
If they win all 5.
Get around Carlton.
Get around Carlton.
Get around the Blue Bay. They're coming.
They're coming. They're finally the promotion from 2001 is finally hitting into fruition, Pez. But let's get on to the next game, which wasn't a great game to watch, Pez, but the Eagles do snap a bit of a lose streak and they continue to be in the top 8 despite their last month of being pretty atrocious.
They continue to do? They didn't kick a goal in the first quarter. Source, what is wrong with West Coast? Like, they've got a decent list on paper, but it doesn't look like it, does it?
I feel like they don't anymore. I feel like we're continually saying that they've got a decent list. I think their list is done. I think they'll be looking to rebuild. I don't think they're gonna make finals. Both of us had them missing. Did you have them missing finals?
Gaff, Kelly, Shuey with Nat Nui rucking.
Yeah, wrong age of 20, Pez.
You got Sheed as well.
Wrong side of 20.
That's a good midfield.
Yeah, but they're done. They've been worked. Like you look at those names, Pez, and look at all the top 4 the top 4, top 8 sides. What makes West Coast West Coast? They're just good individual players. They haven't really got a system. They've got a forward line that they're never firing at the same time. When they're up and about, they're up and about. But they haven't been up and about in 2 months. They can't win away from.
They need to get the vaccine.
what makes West Coast a final side? Like if you go through all the final sides that we talk about there, you talk about the structure, you talk about the individual forward lines, you talk about the defence. With West Coast, they've just got names, and that to me is not enough. And we need to continually stop saying that they're a good side because they're not going to be playing in Perth as much. They've lost that opportunity. They can't win out of Melbourne. There's a range of things that aren't contributing to them being a good side anymore, Pez.
Very, very nervous playing them this week over in Perth as a St Kilda fan.
Nah, you get the win that one, Pez.
Oh, you'd want to hope so after you've given that little spiel about their list, but I do hope you are right. But yeah, nothing game. They won by 42 points, solidify their spot in the 8 game clear, but they're one that could drop out. In the end, we've
been saying that for a month, and somehow they're still hanging alive.
They're still there.
That's how bad some of these teams sitting from like 9th to 14th have just absolutely butchered a finals type because that's their first win in 4 weeks, Bears, and they're still hanging alive at 7th. Those teams from, as I said, 10th to 14th. Or probably 9th from 14th, are kicking themselves that they've let opportunities slip. They could be looking at a top 8 finish.
Or kicking themselves like the GWS Giants, drawing to North, losing a couple of games, being up 6-1 in the first quarter here, and then Sydney just took over and absolutely dominated the game, winning by 26 points very comfortably in the end. The Giants were on absolute fire. They had 6 straight on the board. And you thought, geez, this is a big lead. I don't know what's happening here. But Sydney just couldn't get anything going in that first quarter. Turned around, got it all going from the second quarter onwards.
Yeah, really concerning for Sydney early on, Pez. But you think maybe the 3 different venues that they'd play at, they had scheduled for that game, the 5 late changes. Do you think maybe that might have anything to do with it?
Well,
Their heads weren't
you
in
look
it?
at the late changes. You had Mills, who's a big name for Sydney, being the laid out, but you had Toby Green on the other side. So as a Sydney side, you're going in there. Toby Green's, everyone knows he's the barometer of GWS. And he wasn't there. And you'd think Sydney are going to come out and absolutely smash them here, but it didn't happen. The line continued to drift out, and Sydney got the job done in the end and were very impressive in doing it. But I don't know if you worry about that in the first quarter. Buddy got another 4, so he could get his 1,000th this year source, and another 4 goals.
It's $1.50 for him not to get it and $2.60 for him to get it for this year, Pez. Where would you be putting your money?
Yeah, he can get it. What's he got to get? 20 more goals.
20 more goals.
About
There's
5
games left regular season.
He's going to play finals.
Yeah, it's not bad. That's actually not bad odds. Actually, 260.
Very good. I'd have to look at the draw and
they play Gold Coast in the last round. We said there's 10
money for VBs, right?
Money for VBs. You heard it here first.
We'll go there.
It was an interesting swing of the game, Pez, because they looked done and dusted in that first quarter. As you said, they kicked the first goal, and then GWS piled on 5, and they just didn't touch the footy. They looked slow. They looked drained. It looked like they were really fatigued, and they looked like Rowbottom, who'd already played a game the day before. But then that third quarter, they just blew them away, and it was a total different brand of footy. Everything connected, and it looked like they'd swapped jerseys at half-time, Pez, because GWS looked fatigued. They were looking for motivation from some of their senior players that they couldn't get. They were butchering the ball. They had, there was one time that I think the ball was turned over 3 or 4 times by GWS, and they just couldn't get, Sydney couldn't get their hands on it, but they just continually gave Sydney opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and eventually they made them pay.
Yeah, it was. It would have been hard to watch as a Giants fan, but we conclude round 18 there. We do have to do our next segment and talk about our betting review source, but then we can get into round 19 and what's ahead.
Soft review. It's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
Oh, you've decided not to talk there, Pez. You've gone away from the hosting of the show and you're leaving it all to Source.
Yeah. What do you got?
We saw what happened last week when we left it all to Source. So let's definitely put it back to you, Pez.
It was no good. Our results are up on Twitter at Behind the Bound. You can see them up there. So we'll go through our round source and then we'll have a look at the results for this round and also the season. And the big thing the fans are after is an explanation for those emojis.
It's not just you, not just the fans, Pez. I have got a couple of bones to pick with you with this bet slip. Not very impressed with it at all, Pez.
All right, we'll start off with the Thursday night game. It was a Thursday night, wasn't it? Fremantle, Geelong. So we've already spoken about the game source. So just our bets. Mine was a big tick. The max 50 returned 100. Got the $2 odds. Tommy Stewart to have his 20 plus. Geelong to win, and then the plus line for extra free money, pretty much there.
Pez, yeah. I don't know which show I said it on last week, with the one that went into the recording studio and went out to the fans, or the other one. But I said this was free money for VBs. I had the max 50 on Geelong head to head at $1.80. absolute money for jam, money for VBs. Put your house on it. It's a shame we have a $50 limit, Pez, because I don't understand that one at all.
It was a great start. And the line in this game, it actually went out in Richmond's favour to plus, which was really, really good. But I had a disposal market, as I spoke about last week. Lockie Neal 25 plus, Hugh McCluggage 20 plus, Jaden Short 20 plus, all pretty easily in the end. $25 on that, return 56.
I had 25 on Lockie Neal to get 20. Jack Riot to kick 2 or more. We know he kicked 6. And unfortunately, the Brisbane line at minus 13.5 never looked like hitting that during the game, but I escaped with a bonus bet, Pez.
Oh, you got a bonus bet to use this week. The next game was the Giants versus Sydney, but it actually wasn't, because that went to the Sunday. I don't know what was happening with that game, but I was really disappointed in this. I had Sydney half-time, full-time. At $1.80, they had pumped the odds up a bit, but they didn't show up, and they were down by 6 goals to 1 at quarter time, so that bet was no good.
Yeah, we spoke on the show last week on the Wednesday night before that none of these bets probably were going to be allowed to stand, but Ned's has this ridiculous thing that if the venue has changed, then it doesn't matter. The bet stands. And I had a big argument with Ned's, the nice person on there. I had 2 arguments, actually, because I didn't like the way that the first guy was talking to me. So I hung up on him and jumped up another live chat and had the same thing. And the bet stayed, even though the venue had changed. And I originally went the under 139.5 in a 3-leg same-game multi because I thought the game was going to be played in the cold Ballarat with the swailing winds. And it actually wasn't. So that really threw off my bet. Only hitting 1 leg, Sydney plus 17.5, and the other one was the race to 15. And we know the 5-goal start from GWS put that to bed. So no win in that one. And Pez, not happy with Ned's.
No, that's not good when we keep getting not happy with a lot of different agencies here.
It's just more about the ridiculous, Pez. Like, think about it. The venue, and the argument the guy said to me, he goes, the venue's not that important. And well, bullshit. The venue is extremely important. He goes, yeah, but how do we know that you don't want to change your bet because of the ins and outs? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I put it on the Wednesday, the teams were announced, and then the venue was changed. I said, I think that you should void the bets. And he's like, no, there could have been some big ins and big outs. Ridiculous.
Oh, well, they got their money from news source. Gold Coast versus the Bulldogs. I had the minus 24.5, and when Gold Coast kicked those first 3 goals, I thought, might be a bit hard here, but Bulldogs still had opportunities to do that and couldn't do it for me, and then lost the max 50.
Yeah, I had 25 on a 3-leg same-game multi. Swallow to get 15, Swallow to get 20, and Gold Coast 37.5. Really a 2-legger there. And
I thought Swallow was in danger there.
He looked
horrible.
He was horrible early.
He was on about 13.
They moved him into the midfield in that last quarter, and it was thankful for me because it was a nice little return of 52.50 Pez.
I was surprised you had to put the tick on that because I thought that was a loss when I was looking at it.
I didn't think that was going to be the worrying line. I thought more was the actual 37.5 when they sort of broke that game open. But yeah, I was definitely swallowing some deep breaths there, Pez.
Next game, stayed away from this. Melbourne $1.08, and they had the draw in the end, but you had something.
I did. I had the Hawthorn hack, as I'm calling it, Pez. The Hawthorn hack for the cheeky, and
the alliteration got
pretty close. I had Bailey Fritsch, and the Hawthorn hack is that they allow teams to score 4 or more goals. Individual players, their forward lines all the time. So I had Bailey Fritsch to get 4. He kicked 3-1 and had 3 goals early when they were up by a fair chunk. And I thought, you know what, this is money for jam. Christian Salem to get 20, which he didn't. Oliver to get 25. So I escaped with a $10 bonus bet, Pez, but disappointing that I couldn't make it 3 weeks in a row hitting the Hawthorn hack.
Whoa, that would have been good, but Bailey Fritsch couldn't salute. You didn't even have them for the win, so they could have drawn and it still would have happened. That's very disappointing. Next game was the St Kilda game. So I had my 6-leg cheeky where I just went bang, bang, bang. Got 4 legs out of 6 source. I missed out on Dan Butler to pot 2 goals. He had one pretty early and missed out on the St Kilda minus 4.5, which was super disappointing just because they were in that game. They were up by a point and they probably should have run away with it, but didn't.
They should have definitely won that, Pez. Really disappointed in St Kilda. I was happy with my bet, $2.01 favourite, or outsiders they were, $25 playing outside of Adelaide. I thought that was going to be a win. It should have been a win, Pez, so disappointing from St Kilda more than my bet.
Yeah, my next bet's really disappointing. North Melbourne versus Essendon. I was like, oh, look, I've got only one bet on the Sunday here. I'll put another one on the live bet. So I chucked $20 on Zach Merritt to have 30 plus. I put Jack Zeeble to have 20 plus and Essendon minus 18.5. So I didn't put the minus 22.5, which was offering. I put it down a little bit because I thought, you know what, Essendon aren't very good. Merritt got his 30, got 39. Zeeble, 19 kicks, 0 handballs. Missed out by a disposal there. He had hardly any disposals in the first half, Jack Zeeble. Essendon weren't going down there and kicking behinds. And Essendon minus 18.5 ended up winning by 18 points. So that lost by a 0.5 as well. No good.
So 1.5 you lost overall. I had no bet in that one, Pez, because as we said, North Melbourne are no good, and Essendon are going to finish bottom 4 eventually once everything's done and dusted, because they're going to finish 9th or 10th, which is the same as bottom 4. No finals for them, so no bet for me.
Well, prime time here. Collingwood versus Carlton. We both probably thought we were losing this one at 3/4 time.
Definitely.
I had my bonus bet on Carlton, and I put the line out further, minus 17.5. You should have seen me when we were down. Collingwood were up by 24 points.
We were down. You jumped on the Carlton bandwagon.
When I've got my money on him, I'm coming. So
we as the collective, the football team you're punting on.
Big turnaround, nearly over 50-point turnaround for Carlton there. So I got 47.50 from that. So that was good.
No, and this is exactly how I called it, Pez. Collingwood would lead for 3/4, and I thought that they would come back in the last, and I had any other result. As predicted, Pez, this went straight to plan. No fear at all. 25 on the nose, $2 return, doubled up.
Yep, not much interest for us in the Adelaide West Coast game because we both didn't have a bet, but we did have our multi. So my multi source, I had the Bulldogs to win. They beat the Gold Coast Suns. Had Carlton to win with that comeback, and had West Coast to win at $1.68, which I thought was a decent price, even though it's West Coast and they've been struggling. 25 on that. Returned 95.50 because they all won, so green tick.
Yeah, and I've just clicked on your little emoji there that you've put there, Pez. It's the soccer ball for the draw. Because I had Geelong, Sydney, and Melbourne, and Geelong tick, Sydney tick, and Melbourne the $1.08 shortest price of the round.
So you don't return anything?
No, because they don't have the draw market there, so it is not a cross. It was a draw, so I get a push. I think they call it in the betting world. Is that correct, Pez?
That's correct.
And what they do is they half the whole bet's odds, even though the other two legs have got up. And I mean, I'll take the win because I returned.
So what happens if I put a bet on Melbourne head to head?
You get a draw, so you get half results of whatever the price is. So if it's $1.08, you would get.
So if I put $100 on it, it's going to return 108. I only get $54 back.
$54 back, yeah. So
it's not quite a push where you would get all your money back.
No, so what a push is where you get all the back.
Where you get back, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, not to be, but what they do in that scenario there, you get the 54 cents Melbourne, and that's what it pays out at.
Jesus.
Not what happens with when you put it in a multi. So they just half the whole bet. So I had odds of $2.90 in there, with $1.77 with Sydney and $1.77 with Geelong, $1.52 with Sydney.
So what'd you return? 36.25.
Yeah. Pretty disappointing, realistically, but it's not a loss. It was a $7 something win.
I don't know how disappointing it is because you won, but you what you put in one of your legs, it didn't happen. Melbourne to win, they didn't win.
Well, they didn't lose.
Yeah,
it's not the loser comp, Pez.
All right, well, we'll go to the results for the round. I staked 205, returned 299. Disappointing in that max 50 that was lost there on the Western Bulldogs. So an ROI of 31%. For the season, $3,435, returned $3,602.55. For return on investment, 4.87. Not too happy about that, but you'll go through yours and then we'll do the emojis.
We will. So stake for the round, 210, returned 228.75. So that little extra.
Oh, you're lucky with that little draw.
Exactly right. ROI of 8.92%, so jumping up 4.4% for the round totals. Stake for the year, 3,100, and returned $3,360.79. 8.41% overall for the year, Pez. So still floating, getting closer to that 10. And I know why you've put the fishing emoji, Pez.
Why?
Because you're fishing for banter with the shit-house one that you put in there. I looked at this 7 or 8 times on my phone. I thought it was a turtle. I didn't know what it was. I don't even know what it is really. Is it an acorn? What is it?
No, it's an army helmet.
Look at you squinting as you're looking at your phone. You have no idea what that is.
Army helmet, because you don't get the hard hat sauce because you said you're on your way. You're building the hotel. You want the builder. You don't deserve the builder. You're on 8.41. You get the army hat because you're still in battle. You still have to prove yourself. You still have to try and survive.
I was waiting to see some plans there, maybe like some little the construction hat would have been perfect because it's. I've got my plans there, Pez. I've got the land space there.
You're running out of time.
I'm not running out of time. 5 minutes to go. It's perfect. And the army hat is rubbish. It's absolutely crap.
No, I love that. I love the work from me.
The media manager.
I rate it. And the reason, not because I'm fishing for a bit of banter.
You were, mate, fishing for banter.
Because I'm fishing to try and stay alive. I'm sitting there on the beach and I've got nothing else to eat, so just fish. I'm trying to make fire with sticks and rocks with my bare hands, so I'm really struggling. It's quite cold.
Well, I had the army hat, Pez, because I blew up all the land around it to make way for my...
So now you want the army hat, do
No,
you?
I don't want it. I've blown it up, so all the fish are dead, Pez. So if you can't get the meal this week from all the fish just floating onto the beach, you are in strife, Pez.
So I might not even have to get my line out, my little stick fishing rod.
Well, depends how you punt this week, Pez. Will depend whether you eat or not. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. You're not.
I might be floating out in the ocean. I hope not. But all right, we'll get into round 19 and get into our bet slip. Let's talk about the future.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now Bex with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And
I do, Shorey.
Oh, yes! Yes!
You ran into Shorey the other week, didn't you?
Yeah, well, then I saw him.
You saw it.
Yeah.
Did you offer him a little piece of the action?
No.
Cheeky 10?
Hey, he can bet on it now.
He can.
He can bet on it.
Did you ask him for some tips? 'Cause he wasn't very good with that tip.
I don't even know. If he'd be good at tips down at Collingwood with 2010, the first goal scorer, gold sack.
Oh, on
that was,
replay.
that was good.
Here we go.
We'll take that.
Wish you gave us the heads up.
What's the first thing we do, Sauce? What are you doing?
First thing we do is we go through the specials, Pez. So let's get the specials going.
Essendon takes a special and goes bang.
Yeah, a bit out of it, not knowing what's going on. But
I know exactly what's going on. That was flawless.
Specials are going to go the same as always. Sportsbet, you got the first you kick a goal in the first 2 minutes and you win on the Friday night, so you can piss off with that. And they don't have the 3+ leg same game multi for every round yet. They still haven't bought it out, so there's stuff over to tab 3+ leg same game multi for Port Adelaide versus Collingwood, Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs, Geelong versus Richmond. Probably have to take advantage of some of those, and the 3+ leg head-to-head same not multi, so round multi. So head-to-head games, you choose 3, put them in a multi together. You get bonus bet if one of them loses. We head over to Lads. They got $2 lines for Port Adelaide versus Collingwood, and so do Neds. And you can also put that in your same game multi source, as you said the other week. And Port Adelaide Collingwood 3+ leg same game multi over at Neds. And that's all I've got.
That's all you've got?
That's all I've got.
It's a bit disappointing that Sportsbet haven't bought that out yet, and they seem to be bringing that out halfway through the round and they keep it on the low down, Pez. But last week we elected to go with Sportsbet after a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm not really sure what happened there. I think can't really put my finger on what was what the problem was. And I did go through Tab last week, and I'm going to do the same this week, Pez. I am going to
because they've got the most same gamers for us.
They have got the most same gamers for us, so they're the team, or I guess the company that I'm going to. Their website isn't as friendly as it, so you will have to bear with me as I sort of navigate through 2 different screens.
Oh,
we
had practice last week,
but I had a lot of practice last week. So
one thing you're forgetting is you've actually notified me of this. Is Finstar, a listener of the show, is actually given us one of the things. I log on to PointsBet every week to try and look at the specials, and they say your account doesn't have any specials. So at least they tell me that I don't. But Finstar's account apparently does, and he says Port and Lions to win by a combined 40 points on PointsBet, paying $3. And apparently he's apologised about the delay. It's been about, a month since he's had to do it?
I mean,
he's
an Essendon supporter, so they've been celebrating last month. So
that's all.
Back to reality this week after a struggled win over North. He realises where his season is. He can put the heart on.
That's all he can come up with. That's shocking. But Port Adelaide take on Collingwood, so they could have a big win there. And Brisbane take on Gold Coast. So I don't mind that at all. So I'll have to try and see if my alternate account is available in the next, 20 minutes or so, and see if I can put that on.
Which I think might be a little bit hard, Pez, because the alternate account I know is not home at the moment. Despite having the bedroom in the living room there, Pez is not home. So let's get into the first one. The Friday night clash. Another thing that's disappointing is no Thursday night football. Yeah. So really disappointing. They're going to be competing against the Olympic opening ceremony. So they better put on a decent show, Pez, because they're going to be head-to-head with that. And I haven't got the odds for it, but I know where my money's going to be with what I'm watching.
The footy?
The footy.
I'll have the ceremony on another device.
One of the 7 screens I've got growing for the weekend, Pez. We get into Port Adelaide versus Collingwood. Port Power, the favourites at $1.23. Collingwood, the outsiders at $4. The line has gone out, Pez. It is now out to minus 23.5 with a couple of big inclusions for Port Adelaide.
Big. Yeah, Frederick is omitted, Lynett omitted, Mays omitted, and McEntee omitted for Port Adelaide. In comes Zach Butters, Xavier Dersma, and Connor Rosie. So 3 massive names for Port Adelaide. We've got a debutant, Ginnivan. Jack Ginnivan for a debut. Finlay McRae and Anton Tohill. Two debutants, there we go.
That's
and
correct.
Callum Brown is injured, Hoskin Elliott as well, Main injured, and Josh Thomas injured. So new blood for Collingwood and old blood and successful blood for Port Adelaide. So we'll see how we go there. What have you got?
It's all about the blood. It's such a weird thing to say. The over-under for that game, I forgot to mention, was 155.5 because of Tab's terrible app. I've had
we don't need to worry about
filter
that.
through that. Pez, for this game, I've gone with something not really cheeky, Pez, but I have used a bonus bet in this game. I've gone for big odds. I've gone with Ned's. I had a $25 bonus bet from last week. Travis Boak's 300, Pez, and I'm a big person for milestones. I reckon he's going to put on an absolute show.
Pick 6 like Ray Watt.
So I've got him to get 25 or more. Port Adelaide's line jumped on earlier in the week at minus 17.5. So huge line for that
You
one.
could get that earlier in the day.
Easily. And I've got him to kick a goal. So he
Bogey.
sneaks forward a little bit. He comes out of that midfield. The inexperience from Collingwood, I think, will open up that forward line. He'll have a ping, and they'll try to get around
What
him and
price
get him a
we
nice
got?
one.
What price we got?
That is odds of $8.77 and 25 bonus bet on that one, Pez.
Oh, there you go. A couple of them same as mine, because I've gone Neds with the special that they've got on the Friday night with the same game multi back. I've got Port Adelaide in there minus 17.5. That's $2 by itself on Neds as well, which is
money.
why I had to go with that. And I've put two very, very low odds. Travis Spoke to get 20 plus, Ollie Wines to get 20 plus, just so I can have that insurance. Oh, actually, Ollie Wines 25 plus there. He didn't have any 20 plus markets, so 25 was his first. $2.34, max 50 on that.
Oh, max 50 straight up. You love the max 50 on the Friday night, Pez, or the first game of the round. Is that
Get it
because you've got the
going.
most information, or you just want to start off things with a win?
I just like this game. I like that line at 17.5 against
7.5 is a
Collingwood.
brilliant line.
Love it.
Brilliant line.
Yeah, we're both in agreement on that. And we'll head to the next game. And during this, my alternate account has just come back into the game. So I think I'm going to put that special down, Sauce, in the Port Adelaide Collingwood game. Well, I don't even know where I'm going to put it. Maybe I can put it in the Brisbane Gold Coast game.
You'd have to put it in the
later.
Brisbane one, I think. It'd have to be that.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll wait and see for that. The next game is Carlton versus North Melbourne.
Yeah, we have Carlton coming in as favourites, $1.45. Outsiders, North Melbourne, bottom of the ladder, $2.70. The line is minus 13.5, and the total points over under for the game total is 165.5 pairs, and that's $1.90. We did talk about this last week. The tab have different $1.90, $1.80, $1.60.
But they're both $1.90.
Both $1.90, so get on that one maybe.
No, I won't get on that one. Carlton versus North. If I had to go something, I'd probably back Carlton at the line there, Sauce. Just thinking that Tarrant goes out. They do get Ben Cunnington back in North, but you got to think Carlton just have to try and take advantage of this. And realistically, they could head on into the 8, couldn't they?
They probably won't with their percentage, but they possibly could set themselves up for a nice run home, Pez. This is one of those wins that they need to sort of take care of business. $1.45 is not bad odds for Carlton where they're sitting. I don't mind the line either, but I would probably be leaning towards any other result. That's my puffer that's just fallen to the floor.
there you go.
So you're probably looking into any other result of the quarter-time leader with Carlton's inconsistency, but no bet for me officially in that game. We head on.
In agreement on that. There you go.
We are 2 for 2, Pez. Here we go. We know what you're doing in this one, Pez. The Brisbane versus Gold Coast game. Brisbane come in as favourites at $1.20, and the outsiders in Gold Coast are $4.40. The line is 28.5 for that one, and the total over/under points $1.90 each way is 160.5 points.
Yeah, so the elite odds, I've just got it sent to me from the alternate account there. So we've put that there.
Got little bots working for you in the background there, Pez. It's a very well-oiled machine, this business.
It means Port Adelaide and Brisbane obviously both have to win and must win by a combined margin of 40 points. So if Brisbane won by a point and Port Adelaide won by 39 plus, then that would get up, I'd imagine.
Yeah, thanks. Quick maths there, Pez. Thanks for spelling that one out for me.
Yeah, so 25 down would get 75 return.
Oh, look at you go. Maths genius over here. I do like that one, Pez. It's a shame I don't like PointsBet and I'm banned from them. I actually had a conversation with them today asking, it's been 3 years since I've had a review of my account and wondering if I was available for promotions. And do you know what they told me?
No.
They told me the website was down. So I gave a nice little spray. I said, thanks for telling me stuff that's not really relevant to me.
You can't use it.
No, still can't use it. Still banned from promotions. For me, I've gone with Sportsbet, and I'm hoping that they do turn on the 3-leg same-game multis in this one, Pairs. But if not, pretty confident in this one either way. So hoping for the bonus bets to be come into play a little bit later. But I've gone 25 on the nose. Jared Lyons to get 25, Hugh McCullage to get 20, and Graham Birchall to get 15 or more. He's been tearing it up lately in there. So don't mind that. Gives me $2 odds and 25 on that one, as I said.
Oh, there you go. And I think Brisbane will win by a lot in that game. And we head over to Western Australia for the next one.
We do, Pez. In the next one, we've got West Coast Eagles taking on St Kilda. The head-to-head markets are $1.42 for the Eagles and $2.80 outside is your Saints, Pez. The line is 15.5, and the over-under for this one, Pez, is 158.5, and that is $1.90 each way.
Yeah, very disappointed in this one, Source.
What, your bet or the line?
Just the game as overall. It's about 6:25. I've been pretty down since then, actually, an hour and 9 minutes, because St Kilda, you've lost this game at selection because Bytel's been omitted. He was the medi-sub last week. Tom Highmore, he's been playing fantastically. He's injured. Rowan Marshall, managed in brackets next to him. Season on the line, playing away against West Coast. Rowan Marshall is managed. And Dan McKenzie injured. So we know when Rowan Marshall and Paddy Ryder don't play in the same team, St Kilda struggle. We get Oscar Claverino back in. Nick Caulfield's coming back in. And this player here, Paul Hunter, a ruckman, really struggled with his form this year. A lump of a lad who doesn't move very smoothly on top of the grass. And I don't think we may need the double ruck. Maybe Ryder by himself. Put in someone else who can pinch hit or something like that. We've got two ruckmen there. I don't think they're going to work the same. If St Kilda beat West Coast here, West Coast are seriously dead, because there's no way that St Kilda should be able to win this game without Rowan Marshall in that side. So just a bit of a spiel about that game and the ins and outs, Source.
No, I love it, Pez, because I totally disagree with you. I agree with the fact that West Coast are dead. I do agree that they are going to struggle in that ruck with Rowan Marshall out, because him and Paddy Ryder in that team is a pivotal part of St Kilda's success. But I think they can get the job done. I think that, as I said earlier in the pod, West Coast are in turmoil. They are in no hope of making finals. They're going to drop this game. It'll be a huge loss for them.
Jeez, I hope I'm wrong and you are right.
Yep, and you will be, Pez, just like most things, like our toss-up, like our overall punting percentage, like everything, Pez. Just I'm the winner, you're the loser.
Oh, please. I don't care what I lose. If we can win this game, that'd be good. So here's my cheeky. I put a 5-legger in, and originally I was going to have St Kilda in this to win at the $2.80.
Love it.
They've gone out to $2.94, and I just can't put my money on them without Rowan Marshall in that side. So I've just gone disposal markets here. Brad Crouch to get 30 disposals. Andrew Gaff to get 25 or more, Tim Kelly to get 20 or more, Brad Hill to get 20 or more, and Liam Duggan to collect 15 playing in that back line, maybe pinch hit in that midfield as well. Altogether, 575, staked a cheeky 10 on it.
Oh, you snaked the cheeky, did you?
Yeah.
Actual cheeky or the
actual
cheeky?
Cheeky!
But I'm not in the mood after seeing the teams to be pressing buttons and things like that. So.
Oh, okay.
go.
Sorry to get you down there, Pez. Well, I've included. I'm excited, Pez. I'm excited for the game, obviously, and I'm excited for my bet. A little disappointed in your, attitude towards this one, and thinking that you've already lost it at selection. Because yes, whilst it is not the ideal solution to manage one of your keys to success, I think St Kilda can get this done. But I am excited, Pez, because Sportsbet just checked the feed. Then 3-leg same game multis are back, which means that last bet that I was hoping for with the same game multi special, I do have a little bit of insurance on that one, and I've gone the same route this one. So I've gone Brad Hill to get 20, Jack Steele to get 25, and I've chucked the sneaky head-to-head St Kilda in there for the victory, Pez. $3.60, whack 25 on it.
Would you look at that? Heard it here first. Every game, all matches this round up to 3 refunds per game. So they've come with the good sports bet. You can switch over to them now.
Yeah, I can.
If you want to read the odds for the rest of the games.
Oh, I might actually do that, because there's a lot better website to navigate around, a lot easier for me. So give me 2 seconds to get that up, Pez.
Well, that's good to know for if I need to put down a live bet throughout, because obviously I didn't use sports bet in the pre-show because they didn't have that offer out there. So that's West Coast St Kilda for you. We'll go to the game of the round, 1v2.
1v2, Pez, and the odds have already shifted in this one. This one started opening at the last Sunday or whenever it opened up, $1.90 even way. Melbourne have come in as the favourites, $1.84, with some interesting selection choices from Bevo and the Western Bulldogs. $2 outsiders in them, -2.5 line, and over under is 147.5. Pez, who are you tipping in this one, Pez?
Yeah. You speak about the selection source, so I will speak about that. James Harms comes in for Vandenberg, who's been omitted. But the big surprise is in the Western Bulldogs. You've got Crozier, McNeil, who's omitted, Scott, who was a medi-sub, and Dunkley, who's managed. You got Mitch Hannon coming in, Tom Liberatore coming in, big in for them, and Josh Saki. So The reason why that's strange, Source, is because you've got Josh Bruce up forward, you've got Aaron Norton, you've now got Josh Shackey, you've got Mitch Wallace, who's still in there, and then you've got Tim English, who pushes forward as well. So are they trying to stretch this Melbourne defence of Lever and May, or what's happening?
I'm not sure what the thought process is behind this, Pez. It's a real gamble, and especially when there's so much at stake with the top 2, top 3, top 4 finish online, those teams are sort of leapfrogging across as the games are played. The winner of this obviously will go top, being one of the first teams to play in that top 4. But I don't understand the selection, Pez, and to me, it's the second time this season that the Western Bulldogs are running a little bit scared, and they're putting the selection and they're showing some fear, I guess, when approaching
lost
Melbourne.
it at selection, like St Kilda, you reckon?
I just think I don't know if they've lost it at selection, but I just think it's an interesting move going tall against Melbourne.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll wait and see for Saturday night primetime to see how that does go. I've put a 3+ leg same game multi with Tab with the bonus bet back as well. I've put Jackson McRae and Clayton Oliver to get 20 disposals each. Okay, so they're my gimme legs there in barring injury. And the third leg that I've put in is Western Bulldogs 1-39. I think they can get the job done. I might be, losing my mind with always going against Melbourne in these top of the table clashes because they seem to get the job done. But I think the Bulldogs can win. They've been. They were lost against Sydney a couple of weeks ago, got over the line against the Gold Coast, and I think they really need to come out and prove and, try and take that top spot in the ladder and build some confidence going into the end of the season. So that'll get me $2.50 and whack the max 50 on it.
Interesting, Pez. I'm going the opposite way. I said earlier in the show that Melbourne, we need to trust them against the top 8 sides, and they continually prove themselves, and I bet you they let themselves down this week. I've gone with the -1.5 line on Tab, ironically, because we've just changed, and tied it up with a little bit of insurance similar to what you've done there, Pez. So I've also got Clayton Oliver to get 25 or more and Jackson McRae to get 20 disposals there. I've whacked 25 on that one. We're sort of basically going head-to-head there, Pez. $2.30 are the odds for me, but just like you, if Melbourne can't pull it away the victory, I'll probably get a bonus bet with Tab.
Yeah, well, you'd want to hope so. You've gone a little bit 25 plus for Oliver.
Yeah, little extra.
You want to boost it up a little bit?
Little 17 cents extra.
What if he gets 24 and they don't get it? Miss out on your bonus bet there. So
because Melbourne's going to win, so it's fine.
See what happens.
Fine there, Pez.
Next game, the Crows versus the Hawks. Nothing for the final 8, but a good battle this should be.
Yeah, it should be a really good battle, and battle of the teams vowing for the to avoid second last, I guess, because I think North Melbourne are going to tie that up. Adelaide are the outsiders, $2.37. Hawthorn the favourites, $1.59. The line is -8.5, and the over/under total points is 162.5. Pez, bets for this one?
No. No, definitely not in this one at the moment. Maybe a live, especially with that sports bet same game multi 3+ legs there. Interesting. Interested to hear your thoughts here. You've got Chad Wingard and Scrimshaw coming back in. Hardwick, so big ins for Hawthorn. But Sean Burgoyne with the in brackets managed next to him. He's 400 games taken a toll.
He's been playing for 20 years. Why are you managing him now? He's played 400 and something games. Why are we managing him now?
Oh, I don't know.
He's got 5 games left in his career, and what they need to manage him to get through the last 5.
He's not playing next season?
Nah.
That's we're not to the game there. It's the next game. But David Mundy signed on for another year. 35 years old.
Sean Burgoyne with the rebuild that's happening there, with Sam Mitchell there. They might keep him on as one of those coaches, similar to what Sam Mitchell did at West Coast.
To play like some games?
Play like a 10-day contract like they should.
Well, if he wants to break the record, he knows what he needs to do. He's go to Gold Coast for his 10-year contract.
Yeah, well, they also need to not manage him because he's going to need every game under his belt to break the record. And it's a bit disappointing that
Maybe he's a bit tired.
The family club, they always harp on about the family club, that they couldn't do this for him and get him in the side in a game that really doesn't matter.
You don't want to give people games, do you? You want to try and develop your list?
Well, I think this weekend someone's getting their 300th for coming on as the medical sub. Mark Murphy. Mark Murphy's going to get a game under his belt as the sub, most likely. And
I don't like that.
He's probably going to scrape his way to 300 games through getting a couple of medical subs.
Yeah, and they'll give it to him, the 300 games there. But
will.
no bet for me.
Cheeky!
I've gone cheeky, Pez.
And you pressed the button at the start?
I did. I'm confident about this one, Pez, because I've used the Hawthorn hack.
Oh, is Tex back?
Tex is back.
Tex is back.
Big Tex will take absolute control. And this is where the actual
Silthorpe.
This is where it actually started, because this is where their games streaks of 4 or more goals kicked by a forward or the opposing forward is Silthorpe last time kicked 5 goals on debut, basically.
That was in Tasmania, wasn't it?
Yeah, yep. So this game is not in Tasmania. But I've gone Big Tex to kick 4. I've gone Rory Laird to kick. To kick 30. No, I've got him to get 30 disposals. And our man Pez, Ben Keys, to get a lot of the pill too. 30. I've got my bonus
He's
10
not
on
my
that
man.
one.
That's your man.
He's my man. Bonus 10 on that one at odds of $7.96. So that is a little bit cheeky, Pez. And money for Jam, that one, not for VBs, because it is a bonus bet. So
Hashtag Hawthorn hack.
Hawthorn hack, Pez. Get on board. All right, we get on to the Sunday games. Sydney take on Fremantle. $1.30 favourites are the Swans. Outsiders, $3.57 are the Dockers. The line is minus 20.5. This is pushed out from originally 17 with some of the big ins from the Swans. Over, under is 159.5. Pez, thoughts, bets, and predictions.
Okay, I can do that. Not in order because I'll say no bets. So no bets at the moment, possibly later in the week. We've got the extended sides at the moment, Source, with Armity being omitted. You'd think either Sam Reid or Logan McDonald would come in for him. Akers omitted. Rory Lobb and Switkowski are both injured, but Taberner will replace one of them and he'll come back in as Freo's spearhead there. It's up at Metricon, you said?
Correct.
Metricon Stadium. I think Sydney will win this pretty comfortably, especially after Fremantle being really disappointing last year. Not the best team to travel either. So Sydney to win comfortably, maybe looking at a halftime, full-time, seeing if that can give me any value or some form of alternate line and multi that up with a few things. So we'll keep that in the mind for this weekend.
Keep that in the works, Pairs. I've got no bet for this one either, but I will be looking to make a live bet. Sydney on the live bet on the game day, jumping on Sportsbet and looking at the players' individual disposal lines have been fantastic lately with Parker, Lloyd, Mills when he's playing, and I'll be definitely to include one of those on that game. All right, get on to the big Sunday clash, the big debate during the week, Pairs. Geelong versus Richmond. Where should this game be played?
I don't know, Mars Stadium.
Mars Stadium.
Send them down the road.
Send them down the road, you reckon? Ridiculous that they're not playing this game in Geelong despite no crowds being allowed into the MCG, but we will push on for that. Some interesting reasons coming from the head of AFL for reasons
you would think the only reason that they do play these games at the MCG, the big blockbusters, is to get a bigger crowd than they can down at Cardinia Park.
Apparently not, mate, because apparently when the games are played at MCG, the MCG has full rights over all the signage that goes around the ground, and when it's at Geelong, Geelong has the rights over it. So even despite being a Geelong home game, MCG control the branding rights around the ground, and that's the reason it can't be moved.
Oh,
that's the reason they've come.
Couldn't they say you have to put these brandings around?
You think that'd be an easy solution, wouldn't it?
No, okay.
Apparently not. All right, so Geelong come in as favourites in this one, $1.37. Outsiders are Richmond, $3.14. Minus 16.5 is the line, and the over-under at the MCG is 154.5 pairs.
Well,
what are you doing here?
Well, first off, for the injury news, we spoke about Dustin Martin being injured, but McIntosh also with a minor hamstring will go out of the side as well. You'd think Shane Edwards and Josh Caddy might come back in to that side, and no outs yet for Geelong, but you'd think Gary Rowan will come back in and slot into that forward line, so maybe someone on the outer there. You also hoping Zach Guthrie isn't one of those players coming back in.
Hopefully not.
I've gone a similar setup to my Melbourne versus Dogs bet with Tab because they've got the 3+ leg same game multi. So I've gone Jaden Short to get 20 disposals. They like to get the ball in his hands. He can kick it. And Tom Stewart, he's still value source at 20 disposals.
Incredible that he's still $1.20.
Unbelievable. He gets nearly 25 a week. And then my third leg is the more risky one, but I think Geelong should win the game, and I don't think they're going to blow out this Tigers team even without Dustin Martin. So Geelong 1-39. That gets you odds of $3. So I've whacked the max 50 on that as well, with hopefully a bonus back if I miss out on one of those legs.
I don't mind that at all, Pez. I think that should be a good little profit to your little island that you're there. So you might be able to eat this week.
Put the army hat on.
You won't need the army hat, Pez, because there'll be already some buildings there established. You might have to get the old rent slip out, because might let you sleep over in one.
Sleep in the lobby.
Sleep in the lobby.
I used to let you sleep in the lobby when I was on the 15th floor.
No, you didn't. You left the door closed and saw me there scratching there. You gave me an umbrella, and that was about it. I'm going with this one, Pez, just straight up the Geelong line. I think minus 15.5 is really low. I've gone over to Ned's to get an extra point, and I've whacked the max 50 on that one. Just Geelong head-to-head, minus 15.5. I think they can get the job done.
Well, there you go. Your Cats, always betting on your Cats there, Source. And
it's been profitable for me this year.
One more game. A team in the 8 against the team outside the gate vying for a position. Big clash this one.
Huge clash this one, Pairs, especially with some of the ins and outs coming in for both teams. Essendon are the favourites, $1.62. The outsiders are GWS $2.31, which is a very expensive sort of price, and I think that's some absolute value there, Pairs. -7.5 is the line, and the over-under total points at Metricon Stadium is 162.5.
Spewing. I just went on to my, because my bet is on one of the sides to win, and you said GWS at 231. I got them at 220 earlier, so I went on to bet 365 because that's where I'm going at. They offer the best cash out of anyone, and I was hoping they hadn't adjusted, but they have. I can only cash out for 23.75 now because the odds have actually gone out after those team announcements. But I got them at $2.20. $25 on them, just GWS to win straight away. The only thing there is the early payout if they're up by 32 points, but we might not have to worry about that. But I think putting my money where my mouth is and saying Essendon are no good and we'll lose to the Giants.
I like that, Pez. Big, bold call, and I tend to agree with you. I think the inclusion of Mumford in that side really helps them get the job done. I'm not putting a bet on this one. We'll look to make a live bet. Hopefully it's not like a debacle of last week's GWS game where the markets were dead until 6 minutes into the game and I wasn't able to get a live bet on, but I'd be looking at probably including the 231 there in the same game multi with 2 guarantees for a little bit of insurance. But like your bet, Pez, on to our multis.
Yeah, the multis, and we know Tab have the head-to-head special with the three legs. So I've gone with the 3 games I'm most certain that they will win this week, Source, to try and get it over that $2 mark. I've got Port Adelaide to win tomorrow night against Collingwood at $1.35. I've got Brisbane to beat the Gold Coast Suns at $1.22. And I like Sydney to beat Fremantle Dockers up at Metricon at $1.30. So all those 3 together, $2.14, max 50 on it. If one of those fails, bang. There you go.
You are going headhunting this round, Pez. Was that 3 max 50s or was that 4? 4. So there's your 200 done. Yeah. All your other bets avoid. I've done the exact same thing, Pez. Head over to Tab. 3 leg same game multi. Struggled to get it over that $2 mark, but I've gone with the similar sort of theory. Teams that I think are guaranteed going to win. I've gone Port Adelaide at $1.35, Geelong at $1.37, and your Saints, Pez.
My Saints.
Your Saints are in there as a guaranteed, Pez.
Wow.
They had $2.80. I didn't struggle with the $2 at all. That brings my odds up to $5.70, and I've whacked 25 on that one.
A cheeky multi as well, kind of.
No,
if
nothing
you go
cheeky
by the
about
rules.
it. The bookmakers have got this wrong.
Well, you reckon they got this wrong? You're very adamant about that, but you say I've got the 4 maxes, and when I win these 4 maxes this round, Source, I might be actually.
It's disappointing we're going to have to avoid it.
I might already have a building. On the island.
You can't, mate. I've been sitting on this frigging beach for a month now. Definitely not. I've already got the land booked. You have to go to the other side of the island, Pez.
You've been moving up and down the island with the tide with you.
No, I haven't. I was on the beach for a long time, Pez, but once I started crawling up, I've slowly been making my way there, and the plans are in. Everything's ready to go. I'll come through big with this multi, especially, and the rest of my round, Pez, and we can have matching buildings maybe on different sides of the island, of course.
Oh, I'm not going in the same building as you. You can piss off. But we'll be doing that after round 19, hopefully, and continuing from there. So we've got our last segment, a favourite segment, the coin toss.
It was a toss of the coin.
That 5 wins the toss.
Yes, it's been an unusual year for coin tosses.
Big time again!
You know how this works, Pez. Short, sharp, because it is an extra long show. We go through the lines for the week. We pick a winner. Pez, I've been going first this week, but you got the upper hand on me last week. You beat me 1-0, so I'm not going to be doing that this week.
Oh, you want to go back to it. You got a 5-point lead after that shocking week the other week.
Yeah, and if you do the maths right, Pez, 1 a week, it's a draw, so I'm not taking that risk.
Oh, not taking that risk. So you want me to go first?
I do. It's one of those tipsy-tovy rounds, Pez, where everything can happen.
I've gone first in 1 round out of 18, so you've had the advantage in all other 17 rounds.
I also do a lot of the heavy lifting over here,
You can
Pez.
have the advantage again, I guess.
And the only reason I went first last week was because I stuffed it, and we had to do it twice, so I already knew all the lines anyway. But
right, short and sharp, come on.
Short and sharp, all right. Collingwood versus Port Adelaide, the line is -24.5 in favour of the Power.
Oh, it's out that far.
It's gone out 7 points now.
Yeah, Power.
Yeah, I'm still going with the Power on that one. Carlton versus North Melbourne, -12.5. Probably North Melbourne's shortest line of the year.
Carlton.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Brisbane.
This is crap.
Brisbane versus Gold Coast, -27.5. And I'll put you out of misery, Pez. I'll go the Lions.
Yeah, all right.
West Coast, St Kilda. Interested to hear your thoughts on this one. -15.5.
Oh, shit.
Oh, you know I'm going the Saints.
Let's
Pez.
skip the game. Go to
No,
the next
no,
game.
I'm going the Saints, Pez. I'll take an easy victory for that one.
I can't go against my side because I want to cheer for him. Obviously, St Kilda.
Yep, jump on the bandwagon. All right, Melbourne versus the Western Bulldogs -2.5. I think that we're opposite lines here, Pez.
Yeah, well, from our bets, obviously, I'm the Dogs, you're the Demons.
Correct. All right, Adelaide Hawthorn +8.5 is the line in favour of the Crows.
Yeah, I'll go the Crows.
Yeah, I like the Crows at 8.5 too. I think I think they could actually snap that game and win. Sydney Fremantle -20.5. In favour of the Swans. Yep, me too. Richmond versus Geelong -16.5. You know where I'm going?
Yeah, no, Dusty's hard, isn't it? And they keep it close. What's the line again? 16?
+16.5.
Right in the middle of my 1 to 39 as well. So which way do I want them to go? I'll go the Cats.
All right, soft cock. All right, Essendon versus GWS -7.5 is the line. We are both, I'm guessing, going with the Giants at +7.5.
No, I'll take the Giants at -7.5.
Oh, I'll write that down. I'll take the Giants +7.5, and you can take the -7.5.
Yeah, all right.
You can have 2 points if that gets up. All right, how does that lead us for the season, Pez? What are the results?
Yeah, you're 5 up.
I just wanted to hear it again. All right, have you got a coin toss for me this week, Pez?
God, no.
I've got one for you.
Excellent.
We were talking pre-show about all of the good games that you could be playing during lockdown. During lockdown, we had the mini footy, the mini basketball ring. Pez, easy one. Mini footy or the mini basketball ring set up?
What's a mini footy? The goals, you just got a little footy.
Just got a little footy that you kick around the house, a little soft footy.
Yeah, it's a mini footy.
Yeah, the mini footy.
Yeah, mini footy. I don't like the mini basketball ring. It's hard to shoot the ball.
I don't like the mini basketball ring because you're restricted to the one spot. I like the mini footy because you can hold it around the house. You can make multiple games out of it. Basketball, you're really limited. So you're going with the mini footy.
Mini footy, but if you added a third option in there, which you can't with a coin, unless you got a three-sided coin. No, the corridor cricket.
Corridor cricket. Oh, we used to play it. We used sock cricket because we used to use socks, obviously.
Oh, that's stupid.
What did you use? A tennis ball or cricket ball?
Tennis ball.
Proper cricket ball on the hardwood floors.
Put the pads on in front of the toilet door.
You had a good story about your brother and the third umpire that you used to bring in.
Yeah, well, we played corridor cricket. He came in and he had to set up a tripod with the phone and record every ball just in case he wanted a review.
How often do you use a review?
Every time someone was out.
Sounds pretty shit.
It was good fun.
Sounds it, Pez. We might have to get one of those going in your corridor, I reckon. If this lockdown continues.
Are you not gonna finish your show?
What do you mean when I finish the show?
You want me to storm off again, don't you?
No, I don't want you to storm off. I didn't
keep this going.
I just want you to go through our socials and then I will happily wind it up.
At Behind the Bound on Twitter. Shout out to Powley who enjoyed the show last week, even though it was a train wreck.
I do it for the fans. I do it for the fans. It was some of my best work apparently.
With the unplugged and unlucky on his multi during the Sydney game, and St Kilda probably should have won that for him as well. So unlucky on his cheeky there. We'll see what you got this week, Powley. On Pez, peace out.
I'm still sauce. We'll catch up next time, guys.